I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I like food. But I like lots of different kinds of food. Probably, a lot of them that we all like together, like Chinese food, Italian, Mexican food, Irish food, Indian food, and when we were down in Augusta, those were all pretty close by, and they're not here. So unless I want to drive to Grand Rapids, which I absolutely do not want to do, there's not really a lot of those types of restaurants available to me, so I got some new cookbooks. And I'll scour the internet and YouTube and learn to make some of them for myself. And this last week, I went through making a recipe called dal makhni. I don't know if you've heard it. It's a bean stew almost that you dip naan in. It's Indian. And you have to kind of keep an eye on it because it'll burn pretty quick. And in the midst of it, I got a call from one of my friends who lives in Georgia, and I did not pay attention to it. So it burned. I think it took about 3 days to get the burn out of everything. So I don't remember what we did that night, if we had leftovers, probably. Although when I do things like that, it's not unusual for our dinner to turn into popcorn and a promise to do better next time. But either way, it's not the worst metaphor in the world for how we handle it when life doesn't show up the way we expected it to. There is a kind of silence that comes after every loss, even a loss of, beans. It's not dramatic or it's not theatrical, it's just quiet. And that silence, that disappointment, that sadness, that regret, all of those things that are in that moment of silence, that's the sound of something that has been eaten away. And we didn't even notice really until it was gone. I don't know how many of you have ever read the book of Joel.
The whole thing, you did.
Good. Would you like to summarize it for us? No, I'm just kidding. I would never put you in that position.
I want to know the 3 meanings of locust.
That's a sermon for another day, but I'll take that. Joel is one of the minor prophets, and he is actually writing after the fact, after the devastation in Jerusalem. And his explanation for it is that this is God's punishment for Israel being unjust, behaving poorly, being unfaithful to him. A lot of the minor prophets point out that they've turned to idolatry rather than to God. And so Joel is talking about this devastation that has come to Israel and Judah in the form of locusts, and said that God sent them because we messed up. Which I think is something that we should take to heart sometimes. We tend to put the blame outside of ourselves for things going poorly, for empty seats, and never really ask ourselves what we have or haven't done ourselves, and if maybe we should take a closer look at ourselves. But even in the midst of that, Joel, in the middle of his book here, is saying, it's going to be better. He wants people to know that it's going to get better. He's not warning people of judgment, he's naming what the judgment was. And It's easy to see, it's easy to understand. Again, just looking around, that every church, and you are not alone, every church has had its locust years. It's not just the weird things that have come along in the last 5 years, like COVID and disaffiliation and all those kinds of things. Sometimes it's just a slow erosion. Sometimes in attendance, sometimes in energy, which we all understand, right? Sometimes in imagination, sometimes it's an erosion of hope. And these years that the locusts have eaten are not always just one big catastrophe. It's just sometimes it's just this long drip of disappointment. And there are seasons where you kept showing up, where churches everywhere kept showing up, but the fields stayed empty. And after a while, after a long time, it gets hard to even imagine harvest at all. But in the midst of all that, God says, I will repay. I will repay you for the years the locusts have taken. It's not about earning back lost time. It's not about going back to how things used to be. This is God saying, even the parts that you thought were lost and wasted, I can restore those too. God doesn't just plant new crops. He gathers even the years that we thought were beyond repair. Have you ever felt like, time was lost, that an opportunity was there and gone? Or that the years, okay, here's one. Have you ever felt like the years just keep going faster and faster and you have no idea where they're going? Good, I'm not alone in that. Whew. If you've ever wondered if your best days are behind you, or the best days of the church are behind you, or the best days of the world are behind us, or if you thought the harvest was for someone else's field, then hear what God says. I will repay you for the years the locust has eaten. Threshing floors will be full of grain, and the vats will overflow. That doesn't mean it's a quick fix. We have farmers in our midst. It takes a whole season of growing before. It's not a return to former things or former numbers or former patterns, and it is not a magic trick. These things are a result of work, of deeper relationships, of new courage. I mean, sometimes after years and years and years of things going wrong, it's hard to even work up the courage to go out and plant again. Saying, why would I even plant if it's just going to get eaten by locusts? Why would I ever put forth the effort in the first place? That's where that new courage has to come in, where a new spiritual depth needs to come in. A new sense of honest worship, a future that's not scripted, but that we step into. The threshing floor isn't full because we worked harder. We did have to work, but it's not because we worked harder. It's full because we trusted the God who repays for the years the locust has eaten. It really comes down to that phrase, to trust God. Not to trust a program or what somebody else has done or what we think might happen, but to trust that God is honest with us and will do the things God said he will do. There is a way forward. We have to find that courage to plant again. Because this can be the season of soil and seed again. I mean, it literally is, but it can be metaphorically as well. The rain has started. The silence is breaking. And we can say to ourselves that we're not going back, but forward. And the threshing floor will not be empty. When Joel speaks of the years that the locust has eaten, he names this kind of loss that many of us know all too well. It's quiet, and it is cumulative, and it is very hard to explain. But God's promise isn't just survival, it's restoration. It's always been it. It's restoration and abundance, which is an idea that has been in some churches taken down the wrong path as well. I'm not talking Joel Osteen abundance here, okay? This is not what we're talking about. Joel is describing what it means to trust that nothing, no time, no effort, no season is ever truly wasted. So maybe it's not time for a barn full of wheat just yet. But can you hear it? The rustle of grain? The creak of a full vat? The stirring of a God who does not waste time, even when we thought the time was gone.